All right. Welcome, everybody. This is our first official Shimmer AMA/Shimmer Talk. I think last week was probably one of the most exciting weeks that we've had since the launch of IOTA and since some of the progress updates over the years. You know, this is the first time since the start of IOTA in 2015 that we launched a new token, we launched a new network, and we basically airdropped all the tokens to the community. And I think this is really a huge milestone for all of us because, first of all, it's a bunch of firsts, right? First new token, first network launched since 2015. But it's also an ecosystem of new opportunities that has opened up for us. And I think for many of you who have been in the IOTA community for a long time, we're really getting this excitement back and this sort of conviction that we're on the right path. And the launch last week only marks the beginning of this new journey that we're taking. So what we wanted to do today, so Levi will join afterwards, what we wanted to do today is basically guide you through the launch, what happened, how to claim your Shimmer tokens. Why that is an important topic to cover. And then we'll cover some very important topics, especially on what is next, because that's the most important question now that the network is live, that all of you can create and mint and transfer your own tokens. And we obviously want to talk about the opportunities that are in front of us. So we were able to enjoy the Shimmer launch in Singapore, actually. And we had a very good sessions, also good launch party there, which was quite some fun. It was the first time that we've actually done a launch party. I think the community also had a lot of fun with the virtual launch party, with everybody basically trying to get the OG NFT, which was a big success. But so what happened last week? So last week, the Shimmer Network, the genesis of the Shimmer Network launched. What that means now is that the Shimmer token and the Shimmer Network itself is live. So you can transfer tokens around. We already have some exchange support with Bitforex, with IOTA B. We're going to talk about Bitfinex afterwards as well, which is the first major centralized exchange supporting Shimmer. So you can transfer around the Shimmer tokens. You can mint native tokens, right? Layer 1 native assets who are basically as secure, as feeless, and as scalable as the Shimmer token itself. And in addition to that, you can also create your own NFTs. And obviously, you can also do more fancy stuff by using output types. But this really forms the basis of the layer 1 network of Shimmer. The vision of Shimmer is really to create a multi-chain network, right? Where you actually have smart contracts, where it's not just one smart contract network, but many different smart contract networks that have launched on top of Shimmer and that are basically connected through the layer 1. And this is what we are going to release over the next couple of weeks with the upgrades happening on the Shimmer network. Now, one important point to highlight about the Shimmer token. First of all of you who participated in the staking event by staking your IOTA tokens last year, you can now officially claim your Shimmer tokens. And the easiest solution is obviously to use Firefly, where you download the Firefly app and it will basically just guide you through the entire claiming process. I did it on my own wallets, including Ledger wallets, and it was very smooth and it worked flawlessly. So I can really recommend all of you who haven't claimed yet to download the Firefly wallet and to really try it out yourself, because obviously you want to have access to your Shimmer tokens and to start trying it out on the ecosystem. So that's about the claiming process. If you ever need help or stuff like that, join our Discord, because we're obviously there to help you. And this is what the new Shimmer wallet looks like. It's actually called Firefly Shimmer. So it's a separate wallet to the existing Firefly wallet. But those will merge at a later point. About the Shimmer token. So the Shimmer token, we really wanted Shimmer to be a different network, where it's not about having VCs or like hidden token allocations to the team or sort of complicated vesting schedule to unlock the tokens and stuff like that. Because ultimately, crypto is about achieving a vision of the future, right? And the vision is about decentralization. It's about empowering people and connecting people through technology. And everything that happened in the DeFi and crypto landscape over the last 2 years was really a bunch of chasing unsustainable yield and creating token launches and had token opportunities for those who came in early, right? Who were basically whitelisted, were friends, or were pre-sale investors. So those were the ones that really benefited the most. And what we wanted to do with Shimmer is create a new network with a new token and a new ecosystem where the community is put first, right? So that's why we actually airdropped 100% of the Shimmer tokens to the community over a 3-month period, right? You could stake your IOTA tokens to receive Shimmer tokens in return through this sort of progressive airdrop. Now, what happened a couple of weeks ago, I think it was in July of last year, there was actually a community vote to set up an ecosystem fund. Now, this ecosystem fund is really crucial because now it's not just the IOTA community, which is there to make sure that Shimmer is a big success, but there's actually a DAO treasury and also an allocation to a Swiss association, which can help to fund ecosystem projects and really make sure that the Shimmer network grows and becomes a successful project, right? So we now have this 20% allocation to the ecosystem fund. And so this basically makes up the entirety of the Shimmer token supply. So all of these tokens were issued. There's no vesting schedule. There's no hidden allocations. So all of this has been issued, and which is an important point to highlight here, right? You can also verify all of these transactions. So we'll go through the block explorer afterwards. When it comes to the infrastructure, for those of you who are more technical, you can install a Hornet node, right? You can start using our wallet libraries. And if you're really fancy for some experiments, you can also download the smart contracts node software. We also offered the public node APIs, so you can query them easily. And obviously, most important, we relaunched the Shimmer wiki. So there's a wiki for the developers, for the builders, to learn more about how to actually build on top of Shimmer, because ultimately, the main objective of Shimmer is to attract builders. So we want all of you to participate. And so that was basically it in terms of the Shimmer network launch last week. Maybe Levi, you can tell us a little bit more about how it was from your side.
Well, hello, everyone. Just like any other network launch or release, I think it was also a little bit stressful for the engineering team, but everybody managed to do their best. And I think we managed to pull it off without any major hiccups.
Yeah.
So congratulations to the entire team who has been, well, basically every person in the IF was at some point involved, but special thanks to the DevOps and engineering teams who had quite some tense moments in the period before the launch. But yeah, so we did launch the network. What is also important that we did verify the Genesis supply and the Genesis snapshot file, which was used to start the network with the community. So many thanks to our community devs as well, who figured out how to verify that everything is working properly and the correct state is used. So shout out to them as well. And yeah, it was actually quite a pleasure to see this thing coming live. Of course, it was not a big miracle for us because we've seen it working already on internal testnets, and also the Shimmer beta release in July was also quite successful, and it helped us tremendously to actually test out all the integrations. So the smooth sailing of the Shimmer launch was actually thanks to our proper release strategy, which we implemented especially for this Shimmer launch. So I really like how the things are progressing. We are putting processes in place to ensure that every software we write is to the highest quality that we can achieve. So yeah, I was really happy. And just one thing to kind of mention is that our job with the launch is not done with regards to Shimmer. So as you said as well, there are many things are happening. Of course, we know that there might be some smaller bugs or glitches in some tools which we developed. For example, in the Explorer, I think already some people noticed some inconsistencies, but only on the front-end side. So nothing major to worry about. So far, the last 1 week was basically verified that all the things which we expected to have ready were actually ready, and everything is on schedule.
Yeah. No, I can also just congratulate you guys. It really was very flawless, and it was pretty amazing just to watch it all unfold in real time in front of us. And now we have this beauty here growing indefinitely. maybe
By the way,
let's
I
look
want
at
to just a quick note, like regards to the launch. I want to post a challenge to the community. So actually, I advise you to go on the Explorer and try to find the very first NFT that was minted in the network. I'm not going to give any hints, but if you know your way around outputs and UTXOs and transactions, let me know what you found. Which was the first NFT that got minted on Shimmer?
I know which one you're referring to. So for those of you who are watching, like, try and find the first NFT that was minted on the network, and we'll give you a free NFT as well. Yeah, but looking at the network stats, let's maybe go through it, because there was a lot of activity that already happened, right? I think the most interesting one to look at is how many Shimmer tokens were actually claimed, right? So you were talking about that the Genesis file was validated, and what this Genesis file basically is, it's a verification that all the IOTA token holders who actually staked their tokens and generated Shimmer tokens actually got the right amount of tokens, that there was no cheating and so on and so forth, right? And the way that our network now works is, in order to get your Shimmer tokens, you just need to log into your wallet with the one that you staked in order to claim your Shimmer tokens, right?
And yes, that's how it works. Although, like, you can see the absolute value there, like 685 million Shimmer.
Yeah.
And I think the percentage might be off. In real life, it's actually better.
Because the 20% is missing.
Exactly. Yeah. And those 20% doesn't have to be claimed. Well, for the technical people here, actually, this claiming process does not mean that your tokens do not exist. It just means that we basically want you to access it so that to port over your IOTA addresses into Shimmer. But there is no deadline on how far or how long can you do it. Basically, the funds are on your IOTA address already. So don't feel rushed to claim, and you can claim basically until eternity, until the Shimmer network is there and exists.
Right, because it's part of the Genesis, and
exactly.
So it's very easy. So I think in total, like, the claimed amount is then closer to 60%, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, approximately, yes.
Yeah.
And also, like, we've seen, like, there are a lot of active addresses in the network, which is partly the result of the staking, but also partly the result of, I think, the new and exciting features. So just imagine there have already been nearly 28K NFTs minted.
That's crazy.
That's just a crazy amount. Like, we never expected this number to go this high. So I think part of it is thanks to the Sooniverse team, who were really working closely with us on the integration side. Shout out to their team as well, because they managed to pull this off, and they managed to integrate on day one, which was absolutely amazing. And it's
really amazing
that you can finally mint your Sooniverse NFTs on Shimmer, also your native tokens.
Yeah. 28,000. That's actually true. It's kind of insane. I didn't expect that either. We should have a feature on the Explorer where you have, like, like in Google, when you're feeling lucky, that you just randomly open up an NFT that has been minted, so you can figure out how good they are.
My engineering brain is already, like, trying to implement the script, and it's not that hard to do that. So If you are a little bit
funny.
familiar with how our APIs work, then basically it's with the famous Hans saying 2 lines of code.
Yeah. So 28,000 NFTs, which I think is a huge success, right? Maybe one important point to highlight here is when it comes to the Firefly Wallet. Right now, we have the Shimmer support. You can claim your tokens, you can transfer them around, native assets support. So you can, again, mint them, create them, and you can transfer them around. And when it comes to the NFT support, that is going to come very soon so that you can also receive your NFTs and easily transfer them.
Yeah,
and at the later stage.
It's the proper example of basically that we added so much utility to the protocol that for the integrations, it takes time to catch up. And this is exactly the case with the NFTs as well. So I heard some people already trying to withdraw NFTs to their Firefly wallet. Don't get anxious. They are there. It's just that the application which don't display it to you at the moment. But I think it's coming really soon. And it will be probably similarly nice and the breeze to use, like all the NFTs and token minting. Like I remember back then when we spec'd out these native tokens and had them first, it was so cumbersome to go through command line wallets and everything. And then Firefly team came across, and basically they just made it a breeze from a UX perspective.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of user-facing applications that are going to come very soon as well. So 211 tokens. I think that also includes the Soon token.
Soon token is one of them. And what is really interesting about the Soon token is, as far as I know, Soon token is going to be the first native token on Shimmer, which will be listed on an exchange. So I'm really looking forward to this in the coming days or weeks. I have no information whatsoever. I just read the tweet from Sooniverse lately. But actually, I'm really, really curious now to see all these token economies popping up on Shimmer and getting listed on exchanges, and the trades happening finally means that it was not for nothing that we added these features to the protocol.
Yeah, no, we can be really proud. And honestly, like it's been a week since the network launch, which is crazy. And there's already so much activity. I think once we really get the ball rolling with some marketing and also with more adoption happening through the ecosystem projects, I think these numbers will go up so much more. Right. Maybe one last thing on the statistics page, on the stats here. Can you tell us a little bit more about the storage deposit? Because right now already 44,000 Shimmer tokens have been locked up.
Yes. So storage deposits are basically the amount of funds in the network which are used to secure permanent data storage in the ledger. That means that, like, if you mint NFTs, if you mint tokens, if you put basically any arbitrary data on the protocol, then due to this storage deposit mechanism, basically you put up some shimmers so that the network retains your data as long as your deposit is locked up. Once you don't need the data anymore, or you burn your NFT, or you burn your native tokens or whatsoever, then basically you are fully refunded with the storage deposit that you paid in the beginning. So why is this good? Because on one hand, from the engineering hand, it basically solves the problem of the never-ending space bloat problem, that the ledger is getting so big that basically you need server parks to store all the data which is happening in the network, because people are incentivized to, only do it until the amount they can actually offer in Shimmer tokens. So it basically puts a cap on how beefy of a server you need to participate in the network, which absolutely was a design choice from our point of view, because we don't really want to end up in a situation where you need like terabytes of fast data storage just to run a single node. So that's one thing. The other thing is that it gives the token real utility. Like many projects are claiming that their tokens are utilities and whatnot, or utility tokens. But with Shimmer, with this, you can clearly see that Shimmer as a token is giving you storage rent on the network. It's basically the same as paying for Google Cloud services, but instead of fiat money, you do it with Shimmer, and you don't need to go through any intermediaries to guarantee that that data is going to be there. It's all handled by the network, and it provides real utility to the Shimmer tokens.
Yeah. Honestly, it's one of the most amazing token use cases in the crypto space, other than probably like staking and generating mana and stuff like that, where there's real need to pay for the data storage, right? Because ultimately, this is the single source of truth, right? It's the ledger state. So it makes a lot of sense that NFTs or tokens that are being minted also need to have Shimmer tokens locked up to pay for the storage that they're using in the ledger itself. So that also means that the more activity we have in the network, the more Shimmer will be locked up. So I think over the next couple of weeks, we should actually look at how this number is going up, because it will be quite an important metric to also showcase how the ecosystem is growing.
Especially, I expect also when finally smart contracts and Shimmer EVM launches, actually the way the operation is handled from the smart contract chain's perspective, and how you communicate and give commands to smart contracts and how you call them, that actually also consumes some network storage. So I expect this number to raise way higher when smart contracts are eventually utilized on top of Shimmer.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Let's move forward, actually, because then we can also talk about smart contracts more. I think before talking about smart contracts, I wanted to show you guys something else. So just today, our IOTA Tangle 2.0 paper on our new leaderless consensus algorithm has actually been published. And this is actually a huge milestone for us, because this means that the consensus that we've been working on for the past few years has sort of been peer reviewed, right? And it's really getting the sort of academic recognition more broadly. And this is really a major milestone, because I think many of you also have to remember, why was Shimmer created, right? Shimmer was created out of a problem that we saw with IOTA 2.0, where we are upgrading from the current network towards this fully decentralized network where there's nobody in control, where it's every node in the network is really participating in a consensus, and there's no coordinator, and there's nobody that can ultimately stop the network, right? That has always been our big vision with IOTA, where it's about building the most efficient, the most decentralized, and the most secure distributed ledger protocol. Now, the biggest problem there was, how do you actually test and validate this software? Because once it's implemented and it works well in a testnet, you still need to validate it further, right? And exactly because of that, Shimmer was created, because instead of just upgrading the IOTA network and hoping that it works, instead we have Shimmer, which is the staging network for IOTA, to do this early validation and testing of our technical roadmap. So we have a very exciting roadmap for Shimmer, right? We're starting now with Stardust, where we have tokenization on layer 1, where we have output types on layer 1, and then we have on the layer 2 the smart contracts that open up a multi-chain network. And then progressively, we're moving towards fully upgrading the layer 1 on the Shimmer network first, to upgrade it to this leaderless consensus algorithm, right? And Shimmer is really going to be the first network where all of these upgrades get released. So all of you will be able to get early access through the Shimmer network, but ultimately every upgrade will find its way into the IOTA network. So those two networks really serve a very, very important purpose, and they're there to help each other. So if you haven't read the paper yet, I can highly recommend all of you to read it, because it's a wonderful, it gives you a wonderful overview of where IOTA is headed and what we have been building. So talking about the now, right? So the layer 1 network of Shimmer is live. It works flawlessly so far. You can transfer around your tokens. It's around 5-second confirmation times at the moment. You can
Worst case, 5 seconds.
Sorry?
Worst case, 5 seconds.
Worst case, 5 seconds. And that's actually finality. That's finality times, right? And by the way, with IOTA 2.0, it will be around 1 second. But 5 seconds right now, we're going to get this number down over the next few upgrades. what is happening at the moment is that the layer 2 framework for smart contract chains is actually being improved with stability improvements and so on and so forth, so that we can actually launch what we would call the Shimmer EVM on top of the Shimmer network. And now what the Shimmer EVM actually is, it's the first, let me actually zoom in. The Shimmer EVM is the first fully fledged smart contract blockchain that launches on top of the Shimmer network, right? So the layer 1 network has launched right now. And over the next couple of weeks, we're going to release the upgrade to the Shimmer network so that the Shimmer EVM and smart contract chains will actually be available. And we could call Shimmer feature complete at that stage, right? Because with smart contracts, we have limitless possibilities of stuff to build. And because it's an EVM chain, it's fully compatible with the Ethereum ecosystem or with all the other EVM compatible ecosystems. So that's really going to open up so many more opportunities for dApps, for different infrastructure plays, and for different tokens, DAOs, and everything to be created. So obviously, our big objective is to work towards the Shimmer EVM, so that we can really unlock the full possibilities. Now, the big question is how do we actually get towards that Shimmer EVM? And I think I want to highlight one important point here is, even though Shimmer is there to be sort of a staging network, what is most important for us is that it's really a secure and stable network, because we would never want to release something where the network will break, right? Because at the end of the day, there is value in this network, and we want to get as much value into this network as possible so that we can really validate our releases. So security and safety is really our number one priority. And what that means as well with the Shimmer EVM is that once we are happy with the release, right, we really need to go through a couple of weeks of serious testing and validation. And what we will be doing there is, together with our ecosystem, is we're actually going to launch a sort of training sessions, or I would say testing sessions, where all of you will be able to participate in the ecosystem to test out the DEXs, test out the NFT marketplaces on training wheels, so that you help us validate Shimmer, the Shimmer EVM, and in turn we can accelerate the release of the Shimmer EVM on the main network. So what you can expect over the next couple of weeks is more news on how this testing phase will work, because there will be incentives. So all of you will be getting Shimmer tokens. You'll be getting some NFTs, like from the Shimmer team here, for example. And all of you will be able to try out the innovative new applications on top of Shimmer. Our goal is obviously to then release the Shimmer EVM as soon as possible, so that we can start really scaling up and growing the ecosystem. And speaking about the ecosystem, you know, one thing that makes me the most proud is just seeing new ecosystem projects pop up, because it's kind of nice being in a position where we built the technology, like Levi said, right, and people actually use it, right? 28,000 NFTs is such a strong testament to how big our community is. And you know, like the biggest compliment that I always get about why IOTA is so awesome is the community. And now with Shimmer, it can help connect this community, the IOTA community, through new ways, right? There's all of these new applications that bring real token utility to our ecosystem, and also bring real opportunities, right? Anybody can now build on top of Shimmer. There's no permissions to ask for. Just use our tools, just use our libraries, and you're good to go. And I think at the moment we have close to, 75 applications, like dApps, that are registered on our ecosystem page. So I can highly recommend all of you to go here and check them out. As we get closer to the Shimmer EVM, more will be announced as well, so that you can really learn more about how to participate and how to use them. I can also highly recommend all of you to check out Tangleverse. So Tangleverse is sort of like an ecosystem curator of projects, so that you can see what's happening and which projects are at which stage. So it will also be a token tracker at the later stage. So it's really like a single source of truth for everything that's happening in our ecosystem. And here's also like the news website and so on. And all of this is happening in the ecosystem, right? And that's really how IOTA and how Shimmer should work, right? It's about decentralization. It's about connecting the community and building together, because ultimately the success of Shimmer and the success of IOTA is not defined by how well the IOTA Foundation does it, but it's really defined by how well our ecosystem works and how well all of you are building and launching applications, right? It's not a single person or a single team's efforts, but it's really this collective effort that makes these projects a big success. One pretty amazing one that keeps on surprising me is actually the creativity in the community, like the She Universe one.
I'm not sure that we have sound, but it's a really cool one anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I can really recommend all of you to check out the video of the She Universe one. It's just on another level, you know, when I saw it for the first time.
Me too. I was like, is it a real movie? Like, it's coming out soon, or coming to cinemas nearby, or what?
Yeah, exactly. And this is just one example, right? There's so many more in the community that have been built. So there's going to be games. Obviously, we're going to have DeFi, strong focus on DeFi, because it's really the important building blocks for Shimmer, so that we have liquidity in the network, that all of you can really have a token market as well. We're going to have stable coins, but also I think all of these very creative and sort of entertainment focused NFT projects or GameFi projects are really important. So I think Shimmer is really the perfect network for those. So once the Shimmer EVM is at this testing phase, I think we'll also start to really scale up our efforts to onboard more teams and to promote Shimmer more broadly, obviously with a strong focus on developers. I think the last point that I wanted to highlight before we move on to the AMA is actually this very nice release of IOTA Identity. With the Shimmer release, right, with the starters release, IOTA Identity can now also be utilized on the layer 1. So that means you have verifiable credentials, right, which are like really your identity credentials that are embedded on the layer 1. And so you can easily transfer them around like a token for the verification. So this was the release of, I think, the 1.0 release, right?
Yes.
So you can start using the library and you can start experimenting with identity. Over the coming months, identity will really be a very important puzzle piece that we want to be a leader in. And so integrating identity onto the layer 1 so that you can have a .identity, INS name, and things like that is really, really going to be important. So that's also what we'll work on. But check it out. And for those of you who are builders, make sure to build on it and experiment with it, right? This is what it's all about, building. Cool. Any other points from your side that you wanted to highlight about the Shimmer release? Otherwise, we can do the AMA.
I think you had a really nice summary of what happened.
Yeah.
I've been here already 2 times, and I think we barely made it to the questions. So without further ado, let's just do the questions.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do it. I assume there are so few questions because the communication from IF surrounding the launch has been great, but I would like to ask broader questions, if that's all right. Christoph from Software Gay on the Monica podcast, when talking about IOTA's participation in Gaia X, said that IOTA has to catch up in core infrastructure layer and that Ocean Protocol's DLT is leading there. Has there been any effort to catch up? Shimmer,
Shimmer is the effort. Like we basically rebuilt everything on the infrastructure layer to anticipate the higher demand and also to make it more easy and more modular. So we are actually going in this direction with Shimmer very much.
Yeah, exactly. And we are not the data protocol. We are layer 1, right? A layer 1 network where you can build a data protocol on top of it. So we're not competing with Ocean Protocol. I think having them integrate on Shimmer would actually be really great. Any progress in finding a custody provider? Yes. Could Shimmer, we'll obviously announce it once it's ready. Could Shimmer support assembly in the future? When it comes to assembly, you can think about the Shimmer EVM being the beta version of assembly. Dom, how do you feel about the fact that soon you're going to be a superstar figure in the tech sector? Let's not make that happen, because I think there's many better people to fit that role in the IOTA Foundation. Let's make sure that Shimmer and IOTA is being perceived as a community effort, and that no single individual was the one who should take the praise for it, right? That's also one of the main reasons why I kind of stopped doing interviews, because it's much more fun to do this together as a team and do this together as a community, right? Next one. Have any partners expressed interest in testing with Shimmer status features for their projects, or is decentralization a larger concern? It's funny, decentralization is no concern at all. I think Solana kind of removed that one for us as well, which is probably good. But yeah, there was a lot of interest, and so many people actually reached out to us again because of the successful Shimmer launch, and there's so much more excitement about it. The main people that reach out is projects on Ethereum and other ecosystems, right, that also want to launch on top of Shimmer. So I think once the Shimmer EVM is ready, we can also onboard those better. And also like liquidity providers and investors that reached out. How is layer 1 ZK validity proof validation progressing? General purpose ZK rollups are making rapid progress, close to obsoleting sidechains optimistic rollups. And I'm excited to see them live on Shimmer IOTA. Do you want to take this one?
Yes. So as we mentioned before, we are building now a modular architecture with Shimmer. So one of the benefits of this modular architecture is that we can easily support in the future layer 1 zero knowledge or validity proofs, because we modularize the software to an extent that the future update can be compatible with what is today running in the Shimmer network. So it is very much in research. I'm also kind of participating in those discussions. We have we have gathered a lot of information also from external partners, also internally building up knowledge about what should happen. And we are very much understanding the complexities and what the integration means. So it's definitely in the making. Of course, there is no ETA on anything, but I'm looking forward to having a first validity proof validation happening in some time in the future.
I mean, one point to highlight here, like this is really a top priority, right? To make sure that our network is going to be one of the main settlement layers for validity proofs. So you will hear a lot more here. What scripting functionality is planned for layer 1? Smart wallets like Argent will be crucial for mass adoption with social recovery, spending, blah, blah, blah. Ideally, layer 1 would support these features, but Hans and Evala seem split on how expressive layer 1 should be. Do you want to take it?
Yes. So, I mean, it's the usual thing with the new and exciting features that many people approach the problem from different angles and have different assumptions. And we know that crypto is kind of there is like uncertainty everywhere hanging in the air. So it's not that easy to align and it's easy to focus, but it's not easy to align everyone's ideas, especially when we are talking about this many uncertainties. So what Hans and the Valdas are talking about are completely valid and nice arguments about what to do and how to do it. But eventually it will be more like a team effort or a combination of those ideas which these two people express. So layer 1 scripting functionality is definitely planned. Stardust is basically the baby steps in this direction, because it is scripting with hard-coded scripts, actually, from the technical point of view. But of course, we want to make it so general that you can run layer 1 smart contracts on it. And yes, again, it's in the making. No ETA is provided.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're going to take an approach, and we'll talk a lot more about this as soon as we are basically ready with relaunching IOTA, with the website and all of that. But you can think about us taking a middle approach between Cosmos and Polkadot, right? Where Polkadot is a very rigid structure for a multi-chain ecosystem. Cosmos is more loose, where anybody can launch their own sovereign network, a blockchain network. And now they're sort of trying to stitch it together with the Cosmos hub. I think we're taking sort of a middle approach where we have the layer 1 network of IOTA, which is being used as the main settlement and obviously composability layer for these layer 2 networks that are launching on top of the network. And that obviously means that we also need to have scripting functionality on the layer 1, because we need to first maximize the utility and the adoption of the layer 1 so that the layer 2 networks don't become parasitic, so to say. So I think you will hear a lot more about this in the coming months. Congratulations on the successful Shimmer launch. I think the no ETA strategy worked. There were no bad vibes before the launch in the community. My question, is it a long-term strategy to have 2 wallets for Shimmer and IOTA, or just until the mainnet changes to Stardust? First of all, no ETA strategy is the hidden hero of this release. I fully agree. So that was really good. In terms of the wallets, Firefly, they will actually be integrated. We simply chose this path to get to the market quicker with the Firefly Shimmer release, but they will come together in the next, next couple of months. Currently, the only large exchange where it is possible to trade Shimmer is Bitforex. What is the plan for the other exchanges? Will this be the same exchanges that have listed IOTA? Bitfinex is actually starting trading tomorrow, which I actually want to talk about at the end of the session. But we have Bitfinex, which is one of the largest exchanges, which is supporting Shimmer. And there's also some other exchanges where IOTA is already listed. I think with exchanges, I can just recommend everybody to be patient, because these things always take more time than we expected. What's the amount of IOTA treasury tokens staked for Shimmer tokens? Precise answer, please. The precise answer is no. They were locked up, and so they couldn't be staked. So they were not. They didn't receive any Shimmer tokens. There's some kind of bot activity going on here. It's kind of weird.
Someone didn't want to miss it, so set a reminder.
Yeah, it's funny. Can we get some clarity on what the plans are with regards to the Python official package being hosted on PyPy or Anaconda? Specifically, will WASP, assuming that it is the smart contract layer, support existing Web3 interfaces, or will it have its own? Do you know more about the Python official packages?
Well, I guess the question refers to Web3 interfaces and the WASP support, which is the ISC or layer 2 solution. And to my knowledge, there is no official Python library at the moment, because the team is focusing on getting the fundamentals right. So the available languages are in, I guess, Go, TypeScript, and Rust, but no official Python package yet. But speaking of this Web3 Python library, which I guess is the library for EVM development, I would assume that some level of compatibility must be there for the Shimmer EVM regarding the EVM transactions in the ISC nodes.
I mean, with the Shimmer EVM, it should definitely work, because it's just EVM, right? And this is just Web3.js for as a Python package. So I think this should work no problem. Exactly. I can recommend you to try it out.
But by the way, the layer 1 Python library is present. I'm not sure if it's already released on PyPy or not, but you can definitely build it from source if wished.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And we can do more developer-focused sessions on this, by the way, so don't worry about your question. There have been a number of exchanges that disable IOTA transfers for weeks, months at a time. Is IF working with the client integration teams at these exchanges to resolve the core technical issues? The honest answer is, of course we are, right? It's a big priority. So we're really helping these exchanges that want to integrate Shimmer as much as possible, so that there's no technical hiccups or anything like that.
And we also learn a lot from these activities, because like sometimes people run into problems which you never anticipated before. So this integration work is actually a great way for us to improve the quality of the software which we produce.
Yeah, totally. Roadmap for Shimmer, more PR for IOTA and Shimmer. Yes, of course. We're also going to do more marketing with Shimmer, which we finally can do. And I think I explained the roadmap before already, that the focus right now is really on smart contracts. And of course, there's going to be NFTs and tokens that will be minted, but smart contracts is the next major milestone for Shimmer. So we unlock the full potential. Running a node is truly an easy and seamless experience these days. However, I've got a beef. Participation events. My experience of them has been truly terrible. After 2 or 3 weeks, nodes fall behind and there's no catching up. This is to say nothing of wanting to join weeks or months after staking voting event has already begun. Are there similar complaints from others, or am I simply being a little piss baby? I don't see tons of discussions about it, but I've had this problem consistently. Honestly, like this is obviously like related to how the voting happens on the layer 1, where you basically issue a transaction to yourself, and the participation plugin then does the vote counting. I'm not sure. I haven't heard about these problems yet. So my recommendation to you is to ask on Discord, so that our team can also look at what kind of issue there was on your side.
Participating in these voting and events might require you to upgrade your node a little bit, depending on the certain type of the events, number of people participating, etc., etc. But our general experience is that it does work. So I don't know, there might be some hidden stuff somewhere, but just hit us up on Discord, and then we can discuss your problems if you are facing any.
Yeah, like really reach out to us so we can look at the issue on your side. And thank you for hosting Node, right? I think that's really, really what it's all about. Trust but verify. Are there obvious technical solutions to mitigate this pain point in the future, or is this just the new normal for nodes wishing to host participation events? This should obviously not be the new normal, right? Because participation events and voting on the ledger is an important feature, right? So on the Shimmer network as well, we're going to have a lot of governance votes happening on the layer 1. So reach out to us and we can help you solve your issue.
And also don't forget that this new Stardust ledger is actually now posing new capabilities. So it might happen in the future that this participation event or voting architecture can be rebuilt even by community if they wish so, because the Stardust ledger is so powerful that it actually allows you to do more than before.
Yeah, totally. Will assembly connect to both IOTA Tangle and Shimmer, or will Shimmer have its own dedicated assembly chain? It will actually have, like the Shimmer EVM is basically the beta version of assembly. And so assembly is going to launch with the IOTA Stardust upgrade at the later point once it hits the mainnet. How will IOTA and Shimmer communicate? Will intertangled transactions ever be a thing? First of all, they're going to communicate via bridges. So there's going to be like a bridge like multi-chain, which will work on the layer 2 layer, right? Maybe there's some possibilities where we can have more direct communication via, like, I don't know, atomic swaps or something like that. But it's not a big priority at the moment, other than having bridges to frame it like that.
Yes.
All right, I truly apologize for the long question, but I feel it's important. All right, I'm trying to think what to do here. We are all excited by IOTA's fearlessness, but has some understanding of its upcoming flow congestion control. My question is about behavior when the network is fully saturated. 2 years ago, I came up with the following very rough chart, assuming we are able to achieve our 1,000 TPS goal. Is this table within roughly the right few orders of magnitude? Like, I honestly don't know. I need to look at it.
Yeah, probably we would need to connect this person with Luigi or someone from the congestion control team, because they are the ones who ran a lot of simulations regarding this. Yeah. Just a side note here, since we are assuming that the network is fully congested, just to put it into perspective, 1,000 transactions per second does not mean 1,000 operations per second, meaning that you can have several tens or even hundreds of different executions and commands and native token transfers and whatnot within one single transaction. So it's a little bit misleading. And if you put it like this, then basically Ethereum does what, like 5-6 transactions per second at the moment. Even some other chains are doing 20. So it's questionable when are we actually going to hit this saturation. But once we do that, the congestion control guys actually designed a really nice algorithm which allocates the bandwidth fairly. So if you have IOTA tokens or you are a long time holder, maybe you can accumulate it over time. then it's basically you have a guaranteed throughput. So it's not like you would have to pay enormous fees just to get your transaction through.
Yeah. And this was actually the question here. Over the coming weeks, can the community get some official numbers on the type of frequency we should expect to be able to write to the ledger with some degree of probability with various amounts of IOTA? That's exactly what we are preparing right now. So what the IOTA 2.0 progress shows right now is that, and we're finalizing the prototype right now. So that looks very good, so that all of you can actually really test it out in a real life environment, right? It's like a test net, so to say. And with that, we're also going to obviously provide very concrete numbers of how the different thresholds look like, especially when you reach the scalability limits of the assumed 1,000 TPS, right? It might be more or not. And obviously, we're also looking at the mana burn proposal very closely to see how to look at that and integrate it into the network. And to the second question, when IOTA reaches Ethereum's current market cap and a single IOTA will cost roughly $55, bandwidth-wise, what kind of UX could new holder expect for that kind of investment? So the main proposition for the future is that compared to other networks, if you hold the IOTA token, it becomes a sort of store value of the network. And the store value actually generates access throughput, right? By creating mana tokens, not tokens, but creating mana, so that mana can actually be utilized to get access to writing to the ledger, right? And you can actually sell this mana on the market as well to generate yield. And this makes IOTA really a store of value in our ecosystem, in our network, where it gives you access to write to the network without any fees. But if you don't want to hold any IOTA tokens, you can actually just acquire mana to write to the ledger. And obviously, we're working on very accurately defining all of these numbers with the sort of relaunch of IOTA after the prototype. So you can expect more specifics. Let's do 2 more questions. When will Firefly Shimmer support NFTs? Over the next couple of weeks, basically. So then it should be ready. And some of the traditional banks, exchanges, and fintechs push and experiment with DLT tags. So far, I have not seen IOTA Shimmer to be involved in such initiatives, cooperations. The main reason for that is because we've never had smart contracts, right? Now that we actually have smart contracts on top of Shimmer, this is actually possible. And
also, like as you meant, I mean, the base layer is actually permissionless, and it's not up to us to decide who is going to spin up what chain in the future. So I think IC is also, and the tech behind Shimmer EVM is also really powerful, because should some of these like banks, exchanges, or fintechs decide that IOTA is exciting for them, no one can stop them from actually running their own blockchains on top of IOTA. Even so, they would benefit from the tremendous composability and interoperability between the other chains. So I think it's a really nice architecture, and it's a good candidate even for these use cases as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. So to answer your question, yes, there's definitely such cooperations where we're working with the financial industry more and more, especially around stablecoins, real world assets, bringing them onto the Shimmer network, and obviously tokenization of assets. And if we provide support, I think we want to hand that over more to the ecosystem, because we as a IOTA Foundation, we shouldn't be the one driving the adoption, because we are a nonprofit foundation, right? We really focus on building the technology, making it as useful as possible, so that all of you can actually realize these opportunities. So if you're connected in the financial industry and you see a certain opportunity to create like a use case or some kind of application, let us know. Like, we're here to empower you to realize these use cases on top of IOTA, on top of Shimmer. So maybe in summary, right? The Shimmer network is live. Now we are very much focused on bootstrapping the network, the ecosystem, minting more NFTs, minting more tokens. But very importantly, we're now beginning the deployment of the layer 2 network, first in a testing environment, right, on the test net, so that all of you can also participate there and try out the Shimmer EVM, try out the applications on top of the Shimmer EVM. And once we've done sufficient testing, the Shimmer EVM will launch on top of the Shimmer network to unlock the full potential of Shimmer, right? We're going to have smart contracts. We're going to have amazing new use cases and token utility. And so that's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. What's actually going to happen tomorrow is the Bitfinex launch. So Bitfinex has already signaled their support for the Shimmer token. And you can already deposit your tokens on Shimmer. And tomorrow will be the official launch. So this will be the first major centralized exchange supporting Shimmer. And hopefully there will be more to come in the near future. So in conclusion, there's a lot to build. There's a lot to create. It's not just a IOTA Foundation building. There's an entire ecosystem that is building. And I think this is really, really one of the most exciting moments for us, because until the end of the year, we have so much to do and so much progress to show. So thank you, Levi, for joining us today. And thank you for
having
lunch.
me. And it's really exciting times. And I'm happy that the genie is out of the bottle. And finally, we will see more and more projects building and more people getting involved. So
yeah,
the road ahead looks really nice.
Let's make it happen. Cool. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.